Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the place where bedtime stories don't always end sweetly. I'm Evergrey, your storyteller in the shadows. Each tale is a little strange, a little spooky, and just creepy enough to keep you peeking over the covers. So settle in, close your eyes, but don't fall asleep just yet. In every city, there are alleys we don't talk about. Too narrow, too quiet, too full of shadows that seem to move when no one's looking. And in one of those alleys, something waits. This is the alley cat who called your name. "12-year-old Nolan didn't want to move. Not to this city, not to this apartment, not to a place where the hallway smelled like dryer sheets and the windows didn't open all the way. But his mom said they needed a fresh start. She said, "It's only temporary." She said, "You'll make new friends." She didn't say anything about the alley behind the building. It was long, crooked, squeezed between buildings like a scar. A single light buzzed above a rusty door. Every night, that light flickered, and every night, Nolan stared at it through the blinds. That's when he saw it. A cat. Not just any cat. This one sat too still. It had one glowing golden eye and one pale, clouded one like glass. It didn't blink, it just watched. The first night, Nolan thought he'd imagined it. A soft scratch at the back door and then a sound, like a voice hidden in a meow. Something that almost said, "Nolan." He backed away from the door. No one else was home. His mom worked night shifts at the bakery. He turned on every light, slept with his headphones in. But the next night it came again. "Nolan." And this time he opened the door. The cat was there. Still, silent, its mismatched eyes glowed in the porch light. Then it turned and walked away, but not like a cat. It walked slow, and its paws didn't make a sound, not even on the gravel. At school, Nolan couldn't stop thinking about it. He doodled the cat in his notebook, one eye bright, the other fogged. He didn't know why he kept writing the word "follow" underneath. A kid named Miko noticed. "Dude," he whispered, "you seen the alley cat?" Nolan froze. "You seen it?" Miko nodded. "It talks sometimes. Kids say it picks the lonely ones, follows them, wants them to follow it back." Nolan tried to laugh. "That's just a story." Miko looked serious. "So is this poster." He pointed to the corkboard in the hallway, a missing child poster from 1976. The boy looked just like Nolan. Same dark hair, same wide eyes, name Noel. That night, after school, Nolan tossed a leftover sandwich crust into the alley. A different cat darted out, this one rougher, leaner, with patchy fur and crooked ear. It looked at him, hissed, then sat, just watched. From then on, it was always there before the other. That evening, just before bed, Nolan did something he couldn't explain. He opened a can of tuna, one of the dented ones, from the back of the cupboard and tiptoed out to the fire escape. The metal groaned under his weight. The wind smelt like damp rust and old leaves. The alley below was a black ribbon of silence. He set the can down and whispered, "For you, I think." He then went back inside. He couldn't sleep. He kept checking the clock. 1:47 a.m. 2:02 a.m. Then 2:12 a.m. Clink, clink, clink. Claws. Tapping slowly along the fire escape railing. He sat up. Outside the window in the dark blue light sat the ghost cat. It was larger than he remembered. Thinner, too, like its body had been stretched just slightly wrong. Its mismatched eyes glowed like twin moons, one sharp and golden, the other cloudy and cold. It stared right at him. And then it spoke, not with lips, not in a human voice, but in a whisper that curled in through the window frame like mist sliding through a crack. "You remember, don't you? You were promised." Nolan's breath caught in his throat. He started to move, to close the curtain, but the ghost cat lifted a paw and slipped it through the gap in the window. The air turned cold. The fur brushed the glass. Its paw was soft but felt wrong, like brushing against something that had been buried long, too long. And then a blur of movement. A second cat landed hard on the railing, the scrappy alley cat, the one with patchy fur and a torn ear. It was small but fierce, body low, eyes narrowed to slits, tail lashing like a whip. It hissed, low and wet, like steam hitting fire. The ghost cat snarled, not like a cat. Not at all. It made a noise like glass cracking under pressure, like fingers dragging across the cupboard. The two cats circled. The air around them vibrated like a storm trying to push its way through. Then they leapt. A tangle of fur, claws, and eerie screeching rolled off the fire escape. Nolan ran to the window just in time to hear a thud in the alley below. He leaned out, heart hammering, but the alley was empty. No cats, no movement, only the wind and the buzz of a broken light. The next morning he checked the alley before school. The tuna was gone, but something else was there, half buried in the dirt. A claw, not from a normal cat. It was too long, curved like a hook, and gray as driftwood left too long in the sun. He wrapped it in a tissue and placed it in his drawer. He didn't tell anyone, but that night he locked the window, and he drew the curtains tight. Nolan dreamed. It started in an alley, but it wasn't the one behind his apartment anymore. It was wider or narrower. It changed every time he blinked. The walls leaned in like listening ears. The single flickering light above him buzzed, but the sound came from below, somewhere underneath the pavement. He turned a corner. Same light, same alley, same waiting cat with mismatched eyes. He turned again, same, again, still the same, until he realized he wasn't alone. The other kids were there. They crawled along the black walls like shadows. Some had hollow eyes, others had mouths that opened too wide. One girl's arms were covered in alley dust like it had grown into her skin. They didn't walk, they slid, like puppets with strings made of smoke. They whispered as they moved, "Come with us. We were forgotten. He's waiting." Nolan tried to speak, but no sound came out, only fog. He took a step back and purr. Soft, steady, warm. Something brushed his ankle. He looked down. The scrappy cat. Its fur glowed faintly like starlight trapped in soot. Its golden eyes were bright and alert. It nudged his heels again, and when he didn't move, it growled, low and protective. Ahead, the alley stretched longer than ever before. At the far end, the ghost cat waited. It stood taller now, almost human-sized, its limbs stretching in wrong ways. Its tail flickered like a noose in the dark. "Come with me. He's waiting." The scrappy cat stepped in front of Nolan, back arched, ears flat, hissing, but then its hiss stopped. Its ears twitched. Its body stiffened. Something moved across the bricks, a shadow. Huge, silent, crawling sideways like it had too many legs. Nolan tried to run, but the ground became soft like carpet soaked in rain. His feet sank with every step. The ghost cat began to walk towards him. It opened its mouth, but instead of a voice, dust poured out. Dust full of names. Dust full of secrets. He tried to flee, but the alley had no end now, just a straight line under the sky with no stars. The whispering kids called out behind him, "You were promised. You belong with us." The scrappy cat leapt, claws flashing, and latched onto the ghost cat's throat. The ghost cat didn't flinch. It smiled, and everything turned black. Nolan sat upright in bed, gasping. His pillow was gritty. He reached behind his neck, and his fingers came away gray with dust. He turned on the desk lamp and froze. There, sitting perfectly in the center of his desk, was the missing poster from school. But this time, the name under the photo had changed. It didn't say Noel anymore. It said Nolan. Nolan didn't sleep that night, not even a blink. He sat on the couch, blanket around his shoulders, eyes fixed on the hallway. The lights were off. The apartment was too quiet, like it had been vacuum sealed. Even the ticking clock in the kitchen had stopped. Then 2 a.m., a shift in the sky, a ripple in the dark, and then the ghost cat appeared. Not from the window, not from under the bed, just appeared like it had always been there, crouched at the foot of the couch. Its mismatched eyes flickered like candle flames. "One step," it whispered, its voice curling like fog, "and you'll remember. One more, and you'll belong. They never come back," it added as it stood and stretched. "But you can." It padded across the floor, silent as breath. Nolan wanted to move, to stop it, but his body felt distant, like it belonged to someone watching from behind a glass. And then a growl, low, rough, familiar. From the top of the couch, the scrappy cat sprang into view. Its fur stood up like needles, its crooked ear twitched. It dropped beside Nolan and planted itself between him and the ghost cat. The ghost cat didn't hiss, it just smiled. "You don't belong here," Nolan whispered, unsure who he meant it for. The ghost cat stepped forward, paws never touching the floor. Its body shimmering slightly at the edges like heat over pavement. "No," the ghost cat purred, "but you do." The scrappy cat snarled, an ugly protective sound, and leapt. The ghost cat didn't fight. It let the scrappy cat collide with it, tumble through claws raking air. Then the ghost cat turned and slithered towards the apartment door, which unlocked itself with a click. The hinges creaked, the knob turned, the door opened on its own, and beyond that, the hallway, and then the alley, only stretched wrong. Its shadows didn't move with the wind, it moved with intent. Nolan's feet moved before his mind did. He followed down the stairs, past his mother's door, out the back, into the alley that felt more like a throat than a street. The air pressed in on him, the bricks dripped, the street lamp above flickered and then went out. At the end of the alley, a door stood open, but there was no building. It floated, attached to nothing. Framed by fog, lit from behind, the ghost cat stood beside it, waiting. Its tail curled into a question mark. Its mouth opened wider than a cat's ever should. "Come home." The scrappy cat darted past Nolan and blocked the way. It limped now, a fresh cut along its side, but still it stood tall. The ghost cat stared, then slowly melted into mist, drifting back through the open door. The door stayed open. The alley was silent. The scrappy cat turned to Nolan. Just for a second, the eyes seemed full of something human. Not speech, not thought, but care. And Nolan, he could have sworn it nodded. Nolan stood in the middle of the alley. Behind him, the apartment. The lights switched off. Its windows still closed, small, loud, lonely, but real. Ahead, the door with no building, open, waiting. A pale glow flickered from beyond it, like moonlight trapped underwater. And between him and that glow, the ghost cat. It stood tall now, as if it had grown into something more than a cat. Its fur moved in waves. It stretched the wrong way. The scrappy cat stood in front of Nolan, body trembling, one paw lifted, its fur dusted with something like ash or frost or both. And still, it stayed. The ghost cat spoke. Its voice wasn't soft anymore. It filled the space between the bricks. You have to choose. Come with me and never be forgotten. Stay and vanish 1 year at a time. Nolan didn't answer. The door pulsed. A wind curled through the alley, tugging at his coat. The ghost cat took 1 step forward. The scrappy cat let out a sound that was half growl, half whimper. Its eyes met Nolan 1 last time. Then it turned, walked towards him slowly, like it had just enough strength left, and curled up around Nolan's shoes. Protective, quiet, home. Nolan knelt beside it, resting a hand gently on its bony back. I'm not going with you, he said. Not angry, not afraid, just sure. The ghost cat didn't scream, didn't lunge, didn't hiss. It just smiled, a wide, empty smile that didn't reach its eyes, and then faded. First its whiskers, then its tail, then its voice like fog breaking apart in sunlight. The strange door flickered and then blinked out of existence. Gone. Just bricks, just silent, just the 2 of them. Nolan woke up on the couch, blanket over his shoulder, a note from his mom stuck to the lamp. Made it to work, you fell asleep out here, hope you weren't too cold, love you. The apartment felt lighter, like something had been unknotted in the dark. He stood and stretched. The scrappy cat was gone, not under the couch, not on the windowsill, not curled in the laundry basket where it had liked to hide, but there, on the armrest, was a tuft of fur. Gray-brown, soft, still warm. Nolan smiled a little, then turned towards the window. On the glass was a single paw print. Not muddy, not greasy, just outlined in dust, pressed there, like it was a goodbye. He grabbed his backpack to get ready for school. Inside, on top of his math book, was a drawing. Crisp, detailed, folded once. A boy, 2 cats, and a closed alley door. He hadn't drawn it, and neither had anyone else. Sometimes, when the wind blows just right through the alley behind a laundromat, Nolan hears a soft meow. And sometimes he sees a shape with mismatched eyes sitting on the fence, but it never comes close again. And sometimes that makes it worse. Did you know that in folklore from around the world, cats are believed to walk between the worlds of the living and the dead? In ancient Egypt, cats were sacred and thought to guard the gates of the afterlife. In Scottish legends, there was a creature called the cat-she, a giant black cat with a white spot on its chest that steals souls before they're buried. And in Japan, some believe in the Bekaneko, a supernatural cat that can walk on 2 legs and mimic human voices to lure people away. Creepy, right? So if you ever hear a soft meow in the dark and it sounds like it's calling your name, you might want to check if the windows are locked. Or better yet, don't check at all. And that's it for tonight's tale, brave listeners. If your hallway creaks, if your curtain moves just slightly when there's no wind, or if you see a shadow with mismatched eyes watching from the fence, don't worry. It's probably just a cat. Probably. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to Sleep Tight Frights. It means more than you know, to us and to the things that listen back. I'm Ever Gray, your guide through the shadows, and if you felt something was watching as the story unfolded, you're not alone. They remember the ones who listen, they wait for the ones who return. So come back soon. Sleep tight if you can.